Pam Geller time.
Now choose to perish or to learn.
Pamela Geller, how are you? Boy, I'll tell you what, anytime you can lather up Chuck Schumer is a good time as far as I'm concerned. This whole thing has been crazy.
Yeah, it's been great, I have to tell you. It's exposing the left for what they are. Chuck Schumer crying. I would sooner see General Patton crying. I mean, this is the guy, remember, a couple of decades ago when he was starting out as a political animal, he pretended to be an Orthodox Jew just to get that vote. I mean, this guy is hardcore political. So forgive me when, I laugh when I see his tears. How about the guy at the LAX, the Trump supporter, maybe he was wearing a hat, I don't know what identified him as a Trump supporter, who was beaten unconscious at Los Angeles airport by the immigration mob. I mean, was Chuck Schumer crying for him? This is all such theater. They have no power. They lost 1,000 seats. He's grandstanding. The Democrats are doing everything in their power. I mean, they have no power. So it's all about disrupting Trump. And Trump, this is the one time I'm going to say this, Jamie, should take a page from President Obama when millions of people took to the street. Unlike these violent, chaotic riots, we as Tea Parties would protest policies. We would protest cash for clunker. We would protest Obamacare. We would protest bailouts. These are just sore losers, setting cars on fire, destroying the Starbucks, and now it's this immigration, quote-unquote, Muslim ban. Okay, it's not a Muslim ban. That would mean all Muslims were banned from entering the U.S.
Right.
This is a counterterrorism measure. 87, almost 90% of the world's 1.6 billion Muslims are not affected by this temporary withholding of visas from citizens of hotbeds of jihad terror. It's not about that. We know that President Carter did it with the Iranians. We know that President Obama did it with the Iraqi refugees. We know that the liberals stopped Vietnamese refugees from coming here in 75. That was Governor Brown. These were like left-wing luminaries. Then Senator Biden adamantly against these refugees. No one calls them out. I mean, even Fox, frankly, has someone told them that the game has changed? That they don't have to hire Marie Hart, Obama's spokes. I mean, I don't know what decade they're in, but the game has changed, and the reason why they're doing so well is they're the only game in town for us, but they better get up to speed because there's a vacuum and someone's going to fill it.
Right. That's what's so crazy, and they also forget, for instance, that this is a temporary halt. This is where you go back to the drawing board and you figure out a way to successfully vet people from countries that have been ID'd as terrorist hotbeds. It just seems very, very simple to me.
Yes, of course it's very simple to you because you're a rational, reasonable man. But everything, if he changes the part in his hair, they're going to set, Portland on fire. The man can't make a move, which is why he's making all these moves. And as I've said to you, since he's been president, I love it. Every day is Christmas. He has made good on his campaign promise. We're still waiting on the move to Jerusalem, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed. And you want to see fireworks. I mean, he moves to Jerusalem, and you will see the left collectively, their heads will expose because they become the vanguard of the Jew-hating movement. Listen, I really believe there are people in this country whose minds you are never going to change. It's like when Stalin died and they opened up the gulags and the political prisoners were told that Stalin was dead. Some of those prisoners actually cried. Not that they were free. They cried for Stalin, who put them in there. Forget those people. They're never going to, they're dogmatic. Right. They can't think. But there are people who have been misinformed, who, turn on the nightly network news and so on and so forth, where they're seeing what's going on in Democrat cities. This is New York, this is Portland, this is LAX. These are all left-wing, uber-left cities, and they're seeing a movement that is seeking to destroy this country. They're seeing a movement, they're seeing the left declaring war on this country. That's what they're seeing. I'm telling you, it ain't going to play in Poughkeepsie. It's not.
Right on. I want to ask you, I want to go back to the Jerusalem movement here, because I want to ask you, why is it that they would be so upset that the embassy is moved from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Why would that upset so many people?
Well, why does Israel upset so many people? I'm not getting off your point. I'm making a point.
Right.
We have to understand that this has nothing to do with land, that this is, in the eyes of the Muslim world, a religious war. The very existence of Israel is deeply offensive and deeply humiliating. Quran 9:121 says, drive them out. The Quran has deeply anti-Semitic texts that, Allah has the most enmity, the most hate for the Jews, and so on and so forth. And so the idea that Jerusalem, which is like Jerusalem to the Jews, is what Mecca is to the Muslims. If you read the Old Testament, you know that Jerusalem is mentioned over 700 times. I mean, Jerusalem to the Jews is the heart. It's the heartbeat of the Jewish people. It's never mentioned in the Quran. So of course they have to have it. Of course they have to have it.
Okay.
And so you have to understand that we have scores. The United States of America has scores of capitals in countries all over the world. They are in every single capital. They are in the capital of every single country except one, and that's Israel. And that's unforgivable. And so, listen, by putting it in Jerusalem, it gives the imprimatur of recognition. And the Muslim world will not have that.
Right.
And honestly, if we expect peace, and I know that if the move is not made, it's because someone's whispering in someone's ear that this is going to ruin the chances for peace. On the contrary, if you submit to violent intimidation, if you abridge your freedoms and your claims of sovereignty and a fidelity to the truth, then you will have no shot at peace, because violence and savagery works. So why would you come to the table? They have to recognize the Jewish state. There's nothing to talk about.
Yeah,
and I don't know why we send hundreds of billions of dollars to the Palestinian Authority when they will not recognize the right of the Jewish state to exist. It's just, I just don't get it. So why would they go to the table?
Yeah.
If they're getting everything that they want?
Well, thank you for laying it out. That was one question I've had. I'm glad that I was able to have that conversation with you, because I think a lot of people out there are trying to figure out what all the hubbub is about. But I got to tell you, you are fantastic, and we appreciate you as always, Pam. And we'll check in with you. Thanks for being the illuminator for us. This is awesome, and we're in a good time, even if we are in somewhat of a bad time, too.
Yes. It was the worst of times. It was the best of times. Well, Jamie, thank you for having me. And by the way, thank you for having me all these years when my message, it was like when I was shouting into the wilderness. You were always there. And I have to tip my hat to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We've come a long way, and it's been a great relationship. So thank you, and looking forward to a great 2017 with you, dear.
Me